That is right, my friends. You've read this title. You know what's going on. I got to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And let me tell you, as one of the internet's rabid fans of Final Fantasy VII, I'm just going to give one big old, yeah! It's awesome! Sorry, I didn't mean to get too excited. Thank you, Square Enix, for inviting me out. All right, so a couple weeks ago, right before TGS, I got the opportunity to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and let me tell you, it's coming along real good. I got to play two demos, one that focused on the Nibbleheim Incident, in which Cloud and Sephiroth, with Tifa in hand and a random soldier, are escalating the mountains to the Maka reactor. If I'm being honest, this part of the demo is designed to show two things. One, it's designed to show you that there are new abilities called synergy abilities. Synergy abilities essentially are team-up moves in which one person in your party has enough currency points kind of built up next to their name, and when another person in your party also has that, you can pull off these synergy moves per pair. And two, and quite possibly the most exciting thing out of this, you get Sephiroth in your party and he is in fact playable. Now, before people get too excited about this, let's be clear. This is the Nibbleheim Incident, which means that we're doing a flashback. Younger Cloud, younger Sephiroth. And in the original Final Fantasy, if you guys don't remember, you would have Sephiroth in your party and he was controlled by the computer. But in this instance, you actually get to control Sephiroth. And if I'm being honest, it's pretty freaking sweet, man. Holy crap, he plays so fun. His base moves are all about throwing the Masamune around like crazy. He can teleport across the arena just like Clive could from Final Fantasy XVI. And his stance moves are so rad. You kind of build up meter and you can just kind of pop things off. This part of the demo was about 15 minutes. It was pretty linear, and that linearity and shortness is very much evident. Don't get me wrong, I was very infatuated with the environment around me. I cannot wait to play this game. But seriously, you're only playing as Sephiroth and Cloud for maybe 15 minutes max. And most of it is cutscenes and story. I got to do a boss fight at the end, but outside of that, it's really a handful of fights at most, and then the boss fight. If that was the only demo that I got to play, I think I'd be a little upset. However, I did get to play another demo, and this other demo is what's really designed for TGS as well as for people to understand. You're all seeing these impression videos show up. This is where the meat and potatoes are. If you're familiar with the original Final Fantasy VII, this demo focuses on the moments before leading up to Cloud and friends walking into Junon. This is usually the segment where you could possibly stop by at Fort Condor to defend the base, or maybe run into Yuffie. In this demo section, the big thing to take away is that chocobos are now here. Chocobos are rideable, your whole party gets chocobos, and if we're being honest for a second, look at Red 13 riding a chocobo. He looks so funny. One of the more interesting things that I love about Rebirth going into this game is that, traditionally speaking, when you are playing Final Fantasy, you only have 3D party members, and then the rest will meet you at the cities or in the overworld, so you can call your phone, change out your party, so on and so forth. It seems that in Rebirth, your entire party is with you the whole game. While they can't attack and do actual damage to the boss, sometimes they do sit on the sidelines and either root you on or try to distract them. It's a really cool detail because it feels like your whole party cares instead of yourself controlling 3 party members. Speaking of party, you can now have pre-built parties in advance. You can switch them on the fly right before combat. So if you have a party with Aerith, Cloud, and Red 13, you can switch out instantly without having to open a menu. It looks like fast travel in this world is going to be a little more focused on the location of where you discovered these chocobo outposts next to a bus stop looking thing. You're gonna see a chocobo chick running around, and yes, they are adorable, and yes, you can pet them. If you follow a chocobo chick, it will take you right to the chocobo sign that has fallen over. You then pick it up, you repair it, and voila, you can now fast travel to these outposts. Opening the menu does give you an idea of what the size and scale and scope of the game is going to be, but at the same time, it kind of doesn't. See, this is the open world demo, and I don't know if you can tell, but I'm doing it in quotes right now. It didn't seem too open world to me, and that might just be because this is a demo. But I think what we're going to be kind of leaning towards in the end, based off what the map seems to me, and we're speculating here, this game might be a little more closer to open zone world like Final Fantasy XVI, where you open it up, you explore the map is revealed, and that is like the stage or overworld layout, which honestly wouldn't be all that bad, but I think that controlling the high wind is going to be a core component of the game, so I would really love for it to be wrong. In this part of the demo, there wasn't really randomized battles all over the place. Instead, what was presented was there are these things called fiend hunts. In this demo specifically, you walk around and there are 4 separate fiend fights. Doing these fights was relatively easy, but the thing I enjoyed the most about them is that each fiend fight has 3 separate objectives that you can just do. For the demo's sake, the objectives were all the same. Pressure an enemy, stagger an enemy, beat the fiend under a certain amount of time. Admittedly, it's been a while since I've played Remake, so you're gonna see some gameplay that may not seem very good. I apologize, it's been a while. But for the sake of the objectives in the fiend hunts, using the assessment area will show you, obviously, the weaknesses and the descriptions about the monsters you're fighting. Sometimes to pressure an enemy, you'd have to use the exact weakness that was in the assessment area summary, or the monster would have to perform a move and you'd have to dodge out of the way to then make it freak out and be pressured that way. It's a fun little situational surprise when you're in combat. Doing these 3 objectives in the meantime didn't really feel like I got anything extra, but I have to assume that you're getting more points or more items. Personally speaking, these fights were kind of the only thing to see in this demo outside of the fight that you do in the next part of the game. Now, I'm not going to say there are spoiler stuff necessarily, but when the team gets to Junon, there's definitely a different vibe here. If you remember the original Final Fantasy VII, there is a young girl who's being attacked by a monster, and then the fun little dolphin comes along and saves him. This time around, the little girl is calling for help and asks you to help her. And when you get there, it's Yuffie inside of a boat. So Yuffie is now the one being attacked by the monster instead of the little girl. And then a boss fight takes place. Boots to the ground, I think the combat is improving pretty nicely this time around. It doesn't need to have that much of a difference in terms of improving combat, mechanics. If anything, they're adding more things to make it more versatile and fun. Personally speaking, I think these 2 demos don't do that much of a good job in telling you how this game is going to look and feel and play in comparison to the original Final Fantasy VII Remake demo. But I don't think that's that important because I think the game is going to already assume that you've played Remake. In that instance, the gameplay is going to be very similar. So really the demo is just to let you know, hey, the game is coming. February 29th of next year. Get ready. And in that way, the demo had me hype as hell. Anyways, I played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you again to Square Enix for giving me the opportunity. And hey, if you like more videos like this, let me know, because then I'll beg people to send me stuff to go do stuff like this. This was so fun. And hey, if you want more Sony goodness, I did a video on Spider-Man 2 recently that came out last week if you want to check that out. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. And remember, Cloud is not the puppy. Don't get it twisted.